Hi guys, it's Amy with Aim to Plan, and it's time to finally deal with my overwhelming desk. So this will be one of those videos where I'm kind of doing one thing and explaining something different, but I am going to start off first of all with this work bag, which I will need to record a separate video just kind of walking you what's in here, but I am going to clear out some of the messy spots in here. So there's this one pocket right here that's full of stuff, and then a couple of different areas in this work bag that I'm just going to start piling and adding to my planner desk. I'm just sticking it in this one area right here. So just getting all the stuff out of my work bag. But my goal for today's video is really to be able to um, put everything that needs to be sorted into one spot, which will be this kind of planner desk area, and then just kind of talk to you about like my tips and tricks for kind of handling overwhelm. This one spot right here, the bottom spot, has stuff that's already organized, but I need to pull out all the stuff that's unorganized. But yeah, anyway, I am going to pile everything on this desk, and then what I'm going to do is kind of like go through everything on this desk and again give you some tips for how I handle a like messy area, and what I do to kind of like sort through it really quickly, and yeah, we'll just I'll just kind of talk about my process. So let me just finish this and get into the next part of this video. Okay, I cleared out everything. It was really hard to do that one-handed, but I cleared everything out, put all the unsorted stuff in onto this desk. And now what I'm going to do is take this giant pile and kind of move it into a planner basket, or like a basket that I'm going to just throw everything off, so that way I have a clear space to kind of talk to you about my tips, and we'll pull things back onto the desk, but I'm just kind of putting it into a temporary holding spot, this planner, or sorry, this laundry basket. Okay, so we're going to start with my very first tip, which is something that I've already mentioned in passing, but that is that for me at least, I find it very helpful to kind of put all of the messy pieces, the unorganized things, into one area. And so you saw me pull everything out of my work bag to put on this kind of space, this planner desk area, but I also really walk through my entire house, look at my kitchen counters, look at the tables, all the different like flat surfaces in my house. I look at the floors, and anything that I find kind of out of place, I do move into this spot, especially when I am feeling overwhelmed, when I don't have time to clean up in that moment. I do pile everything on here. So you just saw like diapers. Those things are the things that have a spot, but I just haven't been able to put them in their spot. And so I pile it on this desk to be able to look at it and sort through it kind of at one time, which is what I'm going to be doing today. Now, full disclosure, I recorded this video like 3 weeks ago, and I've already had to do this like 3 more times since this video has been edited and polished. So, this is not a one-time deal. It is something that I have to do constantly. But again, like my first tip, and I think one of the things that helps me kind of like feel less overwhelmed with the process, is to have one spot that's designated as like the one messy hotspot, and just pile everything on there. And so I can get to it when I can get to it, but I don't have to have my entire house look messy and unorganized. So that's tip number one. Just have one designated spot where you're going to kind of have it, everything that's unorganized needs to go somewhere dropped into a spot. Tip number two, if you can, make your spot somewhere that's portable. So I have been storing it here on my planner desk, but definitely using a laundry basket means that I can shift it and just kind of hide it in the closet when I need to. So yeah, that's kind of like my secondary tip. Okay, the third tip is fairly straightforward. All the things that belong in a spot already has a home needs to go to that spot. So just some examples here. I've got water bottles. This glue has goes in my adhesive drawer, pins, things that belong to Sophia. There's lots of that. I know I saw earlier diapers, things that already have a home in my house. I just need to pull out of this basket and put into those spots. Again, sometimes it's overwhelming. We just don't know where, or like don't have the time to put it in its spot, but there are some things that we already know has a home. It just needs to go there. So clearing out just those stuff to begin with will reduce the load quite a bit. So all of these, like this glitter, that's going to go into my craft space. this will go into my craft space. Some of this, like my water bottle, goes into the kitchen, so on and so forth. So all of these have a home, and I'm just going to move it to their home. And that will clear out quite a bit of the stash. Now, I'm not going to walk through every single item that I have in the basket, but I'm just giving you my overall tips for where these things belong. So all of these things, just as an example, do have a home, and I just need to move them to their home. So that's tip number 3. Take all the things that already have a spot and put them there. And I should say, related to this idea of things that have a home, these are things that will go in storage. There's no plan to use them right this second. So they're just going to be stored in their home. So if it has a home and it's just going to be stored in that spot with no like other action item attached to it, then it could just be stored there. So that's tip number 3. Okay, tip 4 is where my planner comes into play. So I've got a couple of items here that I've already, I do need to store it, but I want to store it in my planner or in my home binder system. And so these items are things that I just need to be able to kind of package and put into like memory books, into my home binder system, or into like basically my planner system somewhere. So I've got tickets, I've got like stuff from Sophia. These are all things that I do want to have in my planner. They're things that I just kind of keep for like keepsakes purposes, but I do want to have it in my planner. So this planner right here, I do sometimes, like when I have the time, like right now, I'll sit in and kind of put them in there, but sometimes I don't have the time to do it, and so they end up in this unsorted kind of stash of things that I need to sort through. But I do want to put these items in there. So the way that I do that for some of these items is something I showed in a previous video, where I'll take like a Ziploc bag and just kind of put it into the bag, and then hole punch it and then put it into my planner. But sometimes I do have like stacks of paper and I won't be able to do that. And so if that's the case, then what I do is write a little note to myself on a sticky note and just put a sticky note in the spot where I want the documents to go, and then I'll store the documents in a separate area, but basically in like my like filing cabinet for it to be moved with my planner when I archive it. And so hopefully that makes sense. I don't need to carry around certain things, like for example these tickets and like these documents. I just don't need to carry that around with me. But I do want to have it with my planner especially when I store it. And so that's what I do with these items. I just kind of put it where I need to in my planner. So tip number 4, make notes to yourself, use sticky notes, use plastic bags, whatever you need to get your items into your planner where it needs to. And that's just the way that I do it. I like to have a very robust, functional planner system, and so everything goes into my planner if it's a paper item. Tip number 5, if it's a task that involves like things that are not paper related, and I can do it in 2 minutes or less, then I will go ahead and do it. So just as an example here, I've had this box of school supplies from Sophia. It came home with her from school. We finished the last day of school like weeks ago, but this box has just kind of been moved back and forth, stored in this like stash of things I need to sort through. And so what I'm doing is just combining these things. So there is a home for these items. I want to be able to put them in the homes, but it requires that I actually sit down and do it instead of just storing it. So I am doing it now. So it takes less than 2 minutes for me to pull out the crayons here, as you can see, and the markers. The rest of the items here, they do have a home, and so I'm going to move them to their homes. Like the glues go into the adhesives drawer, pens, pencils, markers, those types of things go into the writing utensils drawer, the scissors go into the scissors area, but I just needed to break down this box, so it required a separate step, and I think this makes it a little bit different. This box is super full, so I'm having to like redo this, and obviously this is going to be not great because I'll have to sort it. So maybe it wasn't the greatest example, but I do any items that have a task attached to it that takes less than 2 minutes to do, I will do those tasks. That box right there, I decided after this video to kind of keep it as like a travel coloring slash scissors craft box for Sophia. So it now has a home because I'm no longer making the decision or like deciding to break down that box. I'm just using it as is, as a travel box. So you kind of saw like an earlier tip, like just find a home, find a task or a place to store it, and then also just breaking it down. So tip number 5 is if there's a task involved, something I have to do, and it takes less than 2 minutes, just go ahead and do it. And that is shout out to getting things done. Something I learned from getting things done. If it's a 2 minute or less task, if it takes less than 2 minutes to do it, just go ahead and do it. And so I was finally able to make a decision about that box that's been sitting in my space for like 3 weeks now. So tip number 5, just do it. Tip number 6 applies to both planner related items like task lists, things like this, which are like a written list, and also like physical items. But anything that has a task attached to it, things that I need to do that take longer than 2 minutes, I will either write directly into my task list in my planner, or like create a sticky note that will allow me to be able to do the activity some point later in time. So just for example, I have like this onesie here and this like graduation hat. These are items that I need to return. And so I'm going to, instead of like putting this in my planner, obviously it's not going to fit in my planner. What I do with these physical items is write it on a sticky note. And so I'll just put a little note to myself on a sticky note, or I just write it directly into my planner saying that I need to return this item. And then I store this again in basically my filing cabinet, so that way I can do it later. And so all the things that are happening here, hopefully you're seeing, it ends up, if I can, it ends up in my planner because I want my planner to be able to capture everything that I need to do. And so that is that. I'm putting a note here to sort clothes. Actually, I didn't realize that was what that was for. I thought this was something I was giving to my niece. This is what happens when you do the editing weeks in advance later. But so I need to sort clothes. You can see in Rose's room, I actually finished that task, by the way. And then I need to return this. And 3 weeks later, I have returned it just because the note was in my planner, and so I got it done. And so these physical items remind me that there's something tangible I need to do with it. Like there's a physical thing, but I don't want to have it in my planner as is. So I write it on a sticky note, and then I put it into my filing cabinet. And that there is a specific spot that I store these items, so that way I can remember to grab it when I need to. But the sticky notes let me know that there's a physical item attached to it. And then these paper items, I can just list directly into my planner. So hopefully that makes sense. The sticky note tells me that there is a physical item attached to it, and then things that I do write directly into my planner are things that are like not physically oriented, and there's like a little bit of a blend there. I'm not like super serious or like about like or strict about making sure that physical items have a sticky note, but that's how I do it. But just like always, I feel like I was kind of all over the place, but hopefully you got something from my tips for cleaning up your planner area, or just any area that's a hotspot for you. These tips are the things that I go through in order to kind of reset my space and my mind in order to stay on top of everything. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel, and until the next video, bye guys.